I have detected references to bowling in your works and sometimes in your interviews. I know that you once went bowling with John McCrae and Ben Folds. I'm curious, how often do you go bowling? What is your bowling average? I want to get to the bottom of this. Have you read Robert Putnam's Bowling Alone, which used bowling as a metaphor to demonstrate social isolation increasingly in America? I mean, what are the...
I have not read that, and I do not go bowling regularly. I don't know why it's always coming up as a reference in my conversations and in my songs. I was in a bowling league when I was in junior high school.
Oh, interesting, because that was actually in the Putnam book.
Was it?
Yeah, he basically said that more people are going bowling, but less people are going in leagues. So you've kind of defeated that particular stereotype.
I suppose so, but again, this is many years ago. That was probably the last organized sports event I was.
What had you go away from the bowling league here? What was it that pushed you away? Just time?
Yeah, I think I graduated from junior high school.
Oh yeah, of course, that would do it. Yeah. So how often do you go bowling?
Once every 4 or 5 years, like clockwork.
Wow, okay. I know that you watched 100 episodes of The Flintstones for Bedrock Anthem and that you made extraordinary efforts to glean Star Wars plot details for The Saga Begins.
You've done a lot of research
Yes,
here.
I have. Have there been any circumstances where you get too bogged down in the research, where it gets in the way of the spontaneity or the improvisational feel of your work? Or, I mean, this kind of goes back to the Control Freak situation, but I'm curious.
Yeah. I don't think so. I mean, it's sort of part of my process. Again, some of the best ideas just come to me spontaneously, but a lot of times, I mean, the reason I go through that research is I've already got the idea. I have a fairly specific idea of a direction I want to go with something, and if I know, like in the instance of the Flintstones, what I want to do, I'm going through all those episodes looking for specific sound bites or sound bites that I think would work well within my concept. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's the work part. You know, there's the inspiration, and then there's like, okay, now let's make this happen. You know, it's the same thing with my fake educational films.
Yes.
I mean, I'll have an idea for an educational film, and then I will watch dozens or perhaps hundreds of hours of public domain footage trying to find visuals that will complement my ideas.
So you're on the Prelinger archive all the time.
That's
online.
correct.
That's the addictive little website. It's all public domain.
Right,
too.
right.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I mean, do you get drowned in flotsam that you get from the internet? The internet has made it really difficult too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I can only imagine what happened when you first discovered that there was all this available information for you, because I'm sure you were a pack rat before that.
Yeah, talk about drinking from that fire hose. I mean, it's a little overwhelming. That's one of the reasons why I spend way too much time on the internet, just because, you know, it's a never-ending, you know, nearly infinite source of information.
So you're good about the meat, but you're bad about information.
Yeah,
that's
the tough one.
That's the addiction. Actually, I want to get you to respond that Sam Anderson Slate piece, which I mentioned. He said of you, his real medium wasn't music, it was fame. He was a parasite of ubiquity. I want you to respond to this. I mean, are you a parasite of ubiquity? What does that even mean?
I do have business cards printed up that say parasite of ubiquity,
but
that wasn't in reference to that article at all. Well, I mean, I guess there's something to be said for that. I mean, my parodies certainly wouldn't be as effective if I was making fun of people that nobody had ever heard of before. Mm-hmm. So I guess part of what I do is a comment on that, and you know, kind of deflate the egos that pervade music business and the pop industry, and in a sense, I guess I'd have to agree.
Oh, okay. Dare to Be Stupid appeared in the 1986 Transformers movie. You also appeared...
I should say, I prefer leech to parasite.
Okay, you're a leech. Okay. Dare to Be Stupid appeared in the 1986 Transformers movie. You also appeared on the Transformers animated series. This leads me to ask if Michael Bay ever approached you for his little concoction.
I'm still waiting. I mean, if they don't use Dare to Be Stupid in Transformers 4, I have lost all respect for that franchise.
Yeah. Oh, you still have respect for it now?
I'm withholding judgment until I hear from Michael Bay.
Oh, I see. So, digital distribution, getting the songs out earlier to take advantage of this time window that we were talking about before for a particular song. How much do you worry, though, about maintaining a long-term legacy? When I think of, like, say, Taco Grande or Do I Creep You Out, they don't exactly have the same shelf life as, say, like a Surgeon or even Eat It, which we haven't even mentioned. We've gotten this far without mentioning Eat It. You've got to give me that.
Yeah.
What about your legacy? Do you worry about whether your work will last longer than this glorious 28 years?
I don't worry too much about it. I mean, I'm fascinated that I've been able to hang around as long as I have already.
Yeah.
Certainly there's some songs that I've written which are the proverbial albatross in the catalog, which don't age as well as some others.
Which songs of the Dogs do you think?
It's hard for me to say. I mean, the ones that you mentioned might be candidates. I don't know. But you never know when you're doing a parody if, you know, how iconic the song was going to wind up being. I mean, I was thrilled when Nirvana had a #1 hit, and I thought that was the point at which I could do a parody, but I had no idea that would be the song that would define, a decade and or a generation. I had no idea at the time. When I agreed to do Mick Jagger's new single, Ruthless People, I thought, great, I'm doing a Mick Jagger parody, not knowing that his single would barely crack the top 40. So you just give it your best shot, and I kind of don't look back. I mean, some of the songs I've done have stood the test of time, and some not so much.
Well, who are your confidants for, that's a song that we have to parody? Is this something that you decide ultimately, or do you have, like, say, people who have their ears on the present music scene who you really, really trust, and you can say, oh, well, maybe I can parody that, or are you constant? I mean, what do you do between albums? Are you just listening to music all the time, or what's
well, not all the time, but when I'm actively looking for parodies, I will, have the top 40 radio station on in the car. I'll be scouring the Billboard charts, and I'll do everything that I need to do to analytically figure out what are the quote-unquote hits. I really mostly rely on myself. I mean, and my internet sources and things like that.
Your internet sources?
Well, the Billboard and the various other places where you could look at, radio play and sales and things like that.
Not like Pitchfork or some of the more down low Brooklyn Vegan or something?
No, I read them all. I mean, I try to inundate myself with, the stimuli and see what I wind up with.
What do you do to prevent yourself from getting sick of music or not listening to music solely for the purpose of, like, oh, that could be a good parody or that could be a good pastiche, or etc.? I mean, do you have like a certain area of music that you listen to which is just off limits from what you do, that you can just listen to and just have fun with it? Or
well, I look forward. I should say that I do enjoy contemporary pop music, but I look forward to when I've got an album completely finished, because that means I can turn off the top 40 station and put on public radio or put on the local alternative station, and because my personal taste is more left of center and eclectic and a little bit more indie than what would be considered pop music.
Including burps. I want to talk about the issue of burps in your music. There is a burp in My Bologna. There is one at the end of Albuquerque. And in the middle of Smells Like Nirvana. Yet I have noticed a certain reluctance in recent albums to include burps in your work. What of this reluctance on your part, this diffidence, to explore gastrointestinal sounds in the last 10 years?
Well, I only do it if it's merited, and it hasn't been a conscious decision to avoid them. It's just that I haven't felt an extreme need for a belch in any of my current body of work.
Oh, okay. But in your body, sure.
But in my body, of course.